Focus TV. We got Octavia Wyatt here, Raymond Lyons, Cardo Dudley Jr. I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. And welcome to Season 6, Episode 33. We got Mystics to get through, some NFC East, a really brief DC United update. So that means we got extended round of rapid fire today, and thankfully the sports world has given us plenty to discuss. I can't wait to see what Cardo has for us this week. That said, Ray, gonna start with you. The Washington Mystics, busy week.
Yeah, they were in action on Sunday. They beat the Chicago Sky in a much needed win. They won a three-game slide, and it was looking pretty bleak for a second, but they stopped the train before it got out of control. Pretty solid game overall. Of course, Brittany Sykes was the standout. She had a season high 30 points. She was just all over the place, man, on both ends of the floor. She really set the tempo from jump with how aggressive she was, and she really carried them through the game. Also, Queen Egbo, she was a force off the bench. She had 14 points without missing a shot. So that just says how effective she was. She was setting screens, rolling hard to the basket. Just being intentional about what she was doing out there, and also being deterrent on the defensive end. One of the biggest things from Sunday was they got Shakira Austin back. So they're starting to get some of their horses back on the court. And they desperately need them, man. And right now they're seventh in the league, so they're still above that imaginary line Wilson talks about all the time. But heading down the stretch of the season, teams are really ramping up towards getting ready for the postseason. So I mean, they're going to need every win they can get right now, and starting to get healthy is a big part of them being successful. We were talking on Outlook that teams really not wanting to fly across the country to see Vegas first round. So they're going to try to stay out that A spot. And I mean, seeing New York ain't really that much better. So it will behoove them to try to get to six. Um, at full strength they can play with anybody, but you rather see those teams later than earlier once you get some rhythm and you get your sea legs up under the playoffs. But also on the Mystic side, they signed Ariel Atkins to a 2-year extension. The deal is worth 200,000. It's just good to lock her up. One of the young, talented players on the team. Um, you know, they're gonna have some decisions to make after this season. Elaine is going to be a free agent. Tasha Cloud is going to be a free agent. Christy Tyler is going to be a free agent, and I believe it's another person, Tiana Hawkins, is going to be a free agent. And given the way she's been playing this season, it's going to be hard to let any of them go. But those all four of them are a key part of what they do as a team. So it's going to be interesting to see how they approach this. I mean, I'm fully confident given who they have making decisions over there. So whatever Big Tebow decides to do, I'm sure it'll be a wise decision. But yeah, man, I don't envy him in this position. I mean, those players have kind of been the culture of the Mystics for the last few years. All of them were on the 2019 championship team, and especially with Elena's been injured this year, but she's a big part of the team. Christy's that veteran presence. Tiana's pretty much having her best season this year, and Natasha Cloud's one of the vocal leaders. So yeah, man, things it'll get interesting, especially given seeing where they fall in the draft. That'll have a lot to do with which way they go. So yeah, man, they just I'm just hoping they can round out the season healthy and get some momentum going to the playoffs, so we can really see what they're capable of.
And again, shout out to Ariel Atkins, like you said, very deserving of the contract extension. And on their schedule, was it 10 games left? Busy couple weeks coming up. I think they got a 4-game homestand coming up after the road game on Friday. So we'll be seeing y'all quite a bit as far as outlook goes. Octavia, first week of preseason action for everyone. NFC East.
Yeah. First week of preseason after we got finished with the Hall of Fame game that the Jets and the Browns had. So this week, everybody in the NFL had their first preseason game. I'm not going to go too much into box scores because, as we know, most starters did not play in these games. Granted, some starters from the teams did play, get a couple of series in, just to kind of see where they're at, especially if they're with either a new organization or they have new leadership, like new offensive coordinator, coaches, things of that sort. But then some people just didn't need the work and they wanted to see some of their younger players, how they would fare in their first NFL game, basically. So we'll start with I'll tell you now, the only team that won in preseason in the NFC East, the Washington Commanders. They defeated the Cleveland Browns 17-15. It was a pretty good start for Sam Howell. I think he did pretty decent. He he threw the checkdowns when they were needed. He didn't overcommit. He didn't throw the ball, put the ball in danger. I think he had a pretty solid outing. I think that there's going to be a good relationship between him and Jahan Dotson. It looks like that they're starting to have good chemistry together. Sam Howell, he had 3 series. He went 9 for 12 for 77 yards. He used his legs a little, used his arms a little to get some yardage. So, like I said, all in all, pretty decent game. Now, again, their biggest Achilles heel is their offensive line. Now, again, all of their offensive linemen did not start, but the one that was probably the biggest Achilles heel in that situation would have been Andrew Wiley, who's a vet. He didn't have a good preseason outing so far. He was called for holding. He was also called for holding again, which led to a safety in the game for them. So not a good start with his tenure in Washington. But as we know, they're trying to change the culture. They're trying to change a lot of things going there. So one thing that they definitely need to probably shore up is that offensive line. So we'll see how that goes. Again, their offensive line is getting a lot of work against their pretty good defensive line. So if they're still not doing too well in practice, they might be okay in games depending against the defensive line they're going to play against. But we know in the NFC East there are at least 2 really good defensive lines that are not in the Washington Commanders. I think, you can even say 3 because I would even think that the Giants are not that bad. So if they want to get out of the division, they're definitely going to have to make sure that they pay some attention to that. I thought that their running backs looked pretty decent as well. All 3 of their running backs, Brian Robinson Jr. and Antonio Gibson, as well as rookie Chris Rodriguez Jr., all pretty much had a decent game. Again, I'm still a fan of Brian Robinson Jr. as a starter. There's been talks about Chris Rodriguez Jr. in training camp as well. But I think they have a good core. It'll be interesting to see if they do like a lot of teams in the NFL do, which is a running back by committee, how much of the snaps each one of those players are going to get, what's the depth chart going to be. I think that's going to be pretty interesting. Their defense started a little bit slow, but fortunate for them, they were able to get back-to-back stops by corner Emmanuel Forbes, who's a rookie, as well as defensive end Montez Sweat, who forced a turnover on downs. So I'm not too really worried about their defense. Again, not a lot of the defensive players started. And of course, Forbes as a rookie cornerback, he's going to get a lot of work with the good wide receivers that are in the NFCs. He goes probably up against a good one every day in Terry McLaurin. So I'm interested to see how that works out. You know, I've said it earlier that I think his body type kind of is slim and slender, and we'll see how that kind of holds up with the rigorous schedule that they're going to have this year, especially with him being a rookie. So we'll see how that works out for them. And I mean, all in all, pretty much their young players played pretty decent. Like I said, they went out, they won the game. And we'll see how it kind of keeps going. You know, I really want to see how intricate that Eric Bieniemy's offensive playbook is going to be for these players. And really to see if Sam Howell's really going to be the answer. We know Jacoby Brissett, who also had a pretty decent game, is there. And it's hard to ignore veteran leadership and veteran play at times. And we know Jacoby Brissett had a pretty decent year last year as he was starting in place of Deshaun Watson in Cleveland as well. So we'll see how that works out. But all in all, pretty fair shake up for them. And they will play this week. They actually play Monday night against the Ravens. They are currently in a joint training camp practices this week. So the ones are going to get a lot of work against each other. I can tell you from firsthand watching the Eagles game we played against the Ravens in the preseason. They got some talent. Zay Flowers is fast, and they're going to get some work in these joint practices. So we'll see how that game shakes out on Monday. Next, I'll go to the New York Giants. They played against the Detroit Lions, and they lost to the Lions. New York had 16, Detroit 21. Pretty much all of the Giants starters were out of preseason. Of course, they had joint practices earlier last week, so they've already kind of been in the flow of joint practices. So a lot of their ones got a lot of work throughout the week. So they weren't really needed in the actual preseason game so far. Much like the Washington Commanders, their offensive line probably was a lot worse. And I feel like we say this every single year for the Giants. Their offensive line situation always just seems to be a little bit not too good. Now, granted, pretty much their entire offensive line starters did not play. And while it's good to know that their offensive line starters are probably going to do better than their backups, as we know, it's a long season. And if you get rolled up underneath one of those piles, a lot of times your offensive linemen can get hurt and you'll lose them. And these backups are the ones that they're going to have to depend on, which is why a lot of teams like to have a lot of offensive line depth. Theirs weren't doing too well. They had a rookie center, John Michael Schmitz. I don't even know what he was doing. It was just bad. Like, I don't even want to go down a list of each one of them because it was just bad altogether. They have a lot more work to do with their backups, and they have to keep their fingers crossed that their starters are going to do a lot better than that as well. To me, one of the bright spots for them was somebody that was already talked about in training camp we talked about the one-handed interception of Jason Pinnock. He started at safety. He immediately made his presence known. He picked off a pass on the first play and then followed it up with a tackle for loss and 2 pass breakups in just a 5-play outing. So he's showing up to look like that he's primed and ready for a starting position. So we'll see how that shakes out for them. But he had a really, really good outing. Underratedly, I think they have a lot of wide receivers that can help their team out. It's just whether or not they will. Just really seeing how it comes to fruition. If you didn't know, they do have slot receiver veteran Cole Beasley has come over as well. So we'll see how much he has left in the tank. In the preseason game, he did lead the way with 4 receptions for 33 yards. And then they also do have Jamison Crowder, who caught 2 passes for a total of 32 yards. So sneakily, they have some talent. It just depends on a lot of veterans to see how that actually shakes out for them. I was expecting a lot more from Jalen Hyatt. But again, rookie, first preseason game, I don't put it, I don't put too much weight in it. I'm sure the more he gets more reps and the more practices that they go through, that he'll be able to get, a little bit better. And probably the other standouts, they're rookie corners. They have 2 rookie corners, first round pick Deonte Banks and 6th rounder Trey Hawkins. They both saw a lot of action throughout the game. They both pretty much held their own. They looked well. They were able to, stay with their offensive man. Hawkins made a total of 5 tackles on the night. Had a few situations in between, but all in all, looked pretty solid in his first, preseason game. So I just expect him to continue to get better. As I always say, just hopefully not against my team, against any other team. But it's looking pretty decent for them right now. So we'll see how that works out for them. Their next game, they're going to be playing on Friday. They'll play against the Panthers. I know we're not going to talk about the Panthers, but please, somebody protect Bryce Young. Just please, because Lord Jesus, don't let the number 1 pick get killed in the first preseason game. Next game will go to the Dallas Cowboys. They also fell in their preseason game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville had 28. Dallas had 23. I think probably for me that what stood out a lot is that we know that CeeDee Lamb is the one We know that Brandon Cooks should be the 2, Michael Gallup should be the 3, but there's still going to be some competition in that situation. I think Jalen Tolbert showed a good showing for himself in that preseason game. He had 2 receptions for 29 yards and a touchdown. Doesn't seem like a lot, but from what we saw from him last year to this, shows that he's progressing. So interested to see if he'll be in the mix with everybody else as far as those wide receivers that we just named, outside of CeeDee Lamb, because we know he's the unmitigated number 1 over there. Again, the running backs, it has been officially announced that Ezekiel Elliott will not be returning to the Dallas Cowboys. We can get that out of the way now. He's agreeing to a 1-year deal with the New England Patriots. So that leaves Tony Pollard, Rico Dowdle, Malik Davis, Ronald Jones, who of course is still going to be suspended for the first 2 games. And then it leaves also Deuce Vaughn. A lot of people are high on him. I said it earlier that a lot of people have tried to compare him to how a smaller, like how Darren Sproles would kind of bounce in between the tackles and kind of move really, really fast and do some really good things. He had a pretty good day. He averaged 6.3 yards per carry, including 5.4 yards after the contact. So I'm just interested to see if it's really going to, if he's really has a shot is my thing. We talk about it. I mean, I think Jerry is really big on fanfare and, favorite players and stories. And we know his father works there. And I just want to see if it's really going to transition into him actually making a roster spot. Or are we all just, doing clickbait at this point, and it's going to be Tony Pollard, Rico Dowdle, and Malik Davis, so, and possibly Ronald Jones, as we know he's a vet in the game as well, even though he'll miss the first 2 games of the season. So interested to see how that works out. One other thing from practice recently, hopefully it's not a huge thing for them. Michael Parsons did apparently injure his leg in practice today. The leg was taped. He did return to the field, but he did not practice any further. Apparently he said he'll get it checked out. I think he said he got kicked or something like that. So it doesn't seem like anything that's a huge issue, but anytime pretty much the best player on the team gets injured, it's a story. So hopefully it's not a serious injury for him. And he's able to, continue on getting ready for the season. I doubt we see him in this next preseason game as well. I will be surprised if we do. They will play against the Seahawks on Saturday night at 10 o'clock. So that will be their next preseason game. And last but not least, Philadelphia Eagles played against the Baltimore Ravens, and they lost to the Ravens. Ravens had 20, and the Philadelphia Eagles had 19. Baltimore has won 24 straight preseason games, which is ridiculous, bananas. I don't even know why nobody ever talked about this before, but it's kind of wild. Just some takeaways. Marcus Mariota, I think he had a fairly decent game. I can see why they picked him up. They're trying to get somebody that's still a little bit mobile in case, knock on wood, of course, anything happens to Jalen. They don't have to change too much in the offensive scheme. I think he did decent. I think, we'll see as time goes on. I'm sure he still needs some more time to get acclimated to the playbook as well. But I think he had a decent outing. I actually think the third string quarterback, Tanner McKee, had a really good showing, to be completely honest. With him and Ian Book basically fighting for that third string position. If we're going off of just this preseason game, it's Tanner by a long shot. But of course, they have joint practices this week as well. We'll see what happens as that goes on. But I think he had a great showing as well. The one thing I really wanted to see is how these running backs are going to shake up, because to me, there's a lot of them. You have, of course, DeAndre Swift, who I believe is going to be the number 1. It's just my thought. I know Kenneth Gainwell has been there for a while, and they have a lot of faith in him, and he possibly could be projected as the one as well. But the limited amount of time that Swift played, he looked good. He had 2 carries for 24 yards, including a 22-yard jump, where basically you could see he still has athleticism, able to make people miss in the open field. And as long as he can stay healthy, I don't see how he's not the number 1. That's the biggest thing. As long as he stays healthy. Same for Rashad Penny. I think he had a pretty decent outing as well. But again, his issue is not really the type of player he is to me. It's really, can he stay healthy? We saw what he did in Seattle. As long as he can duplicate that in some aspect, I don't see how he couldn't be in the mix as well. My dark horse that I loved when we picked him up last year, even though he really didn't do anything. I believe he was on the practice squad all year. Trey Sermon. I mean, he's young, he's raw. I mean, I just think if he's given the opportunity, maybe he can do something with it. You know, he had a decent outing as well. I believe he scored a touchdown in the game. But I don't know. It's just so much. Kenneth Gainwell is still in that mix. Kennedy Brooks is still in that mix. Boston Scott is still somewhere in that mix. There's a lot of running backs and not a lot of roster spots for them. So I'm interested to see how that shakes out. Kind of same on the wide receivers. None of the ones started, of course. No AJ, no Devontae, no Dallas Goedert, no Quez Watkins, no Zacchaeus as well. So a lot of the younger players got to play. I was impressed by Tyree Cleveland. And you could see that he has good rapport with the backups in Mariota as well as Tanner McKee, because pretty much almost anytime he was slightly open, they were throwing it to him. He had some good catches. He finished with 5 catches for 68 yards and 13.6 catch per average. So, I mean, who knows? He could sneak in as well. But old faithful Greg Ward is still sticking around. Back from when there was no Devontae, there was no AJ, there wasn't even anybody you could name remotely that was a wide receiver worth mentioning at that point. And Greg Ward did everything he possibly did to be that guy. And he's still sticking around and he's still showing that he has, you know, something left to prove. So we'll see if he's still able to make the team as at least maybe the 4 or 5. Because like I said, Devontae is a lock, AJ's a lock. I personally think Quez is a lock. Zacchaeus is a lock. And that's 4 right there. So depending on how many wide receivers are going to keep is basically where that will fall for him. Probably my favorite player, and he's probably going to be a fan favorite for everybody. Sidney Brown, safety out of Illinois. I mean, he had such a high motor. He was everywhere. He led the Eagles with 9 tackles in the game. I mean, from the safety position, he was just all over the field. You could tell how much he wants it. And I think that the more they give him, the more that he will show up. And I think that he'll be right there in that mix eventually for a starting safety position. Some of those vets, they're going to have to step it up a lot more if they think that they're not going to get bypassed by him. So I think he had a really, really good opening, you know, preseason NFL debut, whatever you want to call it. And I think he's only going to get better. And last but not least, I mean, Jalen Carter, I mean, granted, it was just a flash, it was just a couple of plays, but he shows why he is who he is. As long as we can keep him out of trouble, I think he's going to do amazing. With losing Hargrave last year, it's important that we get people in there with the same type of capabilities, and I think he has that. He's, again, young, raw, and I think that him learning from the vets is going to help him a lot. Also, Nolan Smith as well. He was able to get some good looks in there as well. He did get beat on one play, which to me is his welcome to the NFL moment. He'll get better. He'll learn from it. I don't have any, qualms about that situation. I think he'll do well. They did lose Sean Bradley, linebacker, for the season. He tore his Achilles in the game at a position that they are already thin at. So Miles Jack and Zach Cunningham before could have been considered a luxury. Not anymore. I expect Miles Jack to be a starter. I do. I expect him to start. And Zach Cunningham, he's going to have to be in the mix as well because they're very, very thin. And those two have a lot more veteran experience than Nakobe Dean, who, of course, in my opinion, is also going to be a starter. But all in all, pretty good, decent, showing. I mean, I just have to say hats off to Justin Tucker because, I don't understand. He kicked a 60-yard field goal in the game in preseason, and it was, good from 65. And it's just, it's annoying at this point. I wish that he could be our kicker, but I don't think he'll ever leave. I don't think they're ever letting him walk out the door in Baltimore unless it's to walk into the Hall of Fame. And last but not least, Eagles signed defensive tackle Olive Sagapolu for some more defensive tackle help. The Eagles will play the Browns Thursday, which is weird. I think this must be wrong. I have to check it again. It says Thursday at 1. I hope that's not true, but I don't know. They're in joint practices right now as well. So we'll see, what's going on in those joint practices as well. But all in all, like we're just getting closer and closer to the games, and the preseason is a tease because I'm watching a lot of players that's probably not going to be on the team. That's kind of annoying at a certain point. So pretty much just watch the first quarter to see the ones that are probably maybe make it out, and then keep an eye out for the rest of them. So you never know. But all in all, great week for preseason, and we'll look forward to next week.
Yeah, I'm sure football fans can't wait. The overreactions for preseason
Oh,
week
they're
one
they're everywhere.
have been outstanding. Like people need help. I'm sure they're happy football's back. We're getting closer and closer, like you said, to that. What is it? Dress rehearsals week 3. Usually, so people finally get to see starters, whatnot. Soon we're gonna take our first break here on the Focus TV. When we get back, little DC United, then rapid fire soon to follow. All right, welcome back. Let's get straight to a quick DC United update this week. Make this real simple. They just resumed training. They lost in the League's Cup for the last time I talked to you guys. They fell to Philadelphia Union in PKs. Ray mentioned that magical line. Here it is in black on the standings from the MLS site. They're hanging on by a thread. They're in ninth. Again, heading into the home stretch. They signed, the last time we talked about some of their additions they made from a personnel standpoint. 2 of the 3 players have played already. Their Brazilian midfielder has yet to do so. We're going to see what things look like this Sunday night on the road against the New York Red Bulls. Again, the Black and Red are currently in ninth. And just like Ray will be letting you guys know what happens with the Mystics next week, if they're able to stay above the line, same thing will happen on the MLS side. If DC United can do the same. Gonna take our second break. When we get back, look, rapid fire, extended version. Can't wait to see what we'll be discussing this evening. Welcome back. All right, rapid fire. Cardell, the floor is yours.
Start. Yep, we're gonna start on the association side of things. The big news obviously is James Harden directed blunt criticism of Sixers GM Daryl Morey. He had obviously a viral tirade against the president of basketball operations where he called Daryl Morey a liar. Quote, Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Harden said while on tour in Beijing. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be part of an organization that he's a part of. Reports are that James is pissed that one, he didn't get a big extension that you've seen some of his peers get this summer. And when he didn't get that and demanded a trade, there wasn't really much of a market for him. So, he was untradeable for a lot of reasons. So he's mad. Once, it's been reported that once negotiations broke off with his agent over the weekend, Monday, that's when you say James Harden trying to make things move through the media or whatnot. Reports are that Morey reactions to all the things, James Harden getting personal, he just shrugged it off. He said basically kind of passed word through certain media folks, specifically Keith Pompey, who's B guy for the Philadelphia Inquirer covering the Sixers. He said the word changes nothing for Morey. Morey said personally, or the 76ers plan to call out trade talks and bring Harden to training camp. A league source said Morey was not surprised by Harden's commentary and his attempt to make things personal, given his agent reaction this past weekend to being informed that the Sixers weren't able to find a suitable deal. Oh, man, it's getting real bad. And keep in mind, earlier this offseason, Embiid pretty much, let it be known I can either try to win the championship here or I can go somewhere else and try to win the championship. See how that happens. But I'm going to start with you, Octavia. That's a very interesting picture. You're hilarious. But Octavia, what are your thoughts on the whole situation, man? It sounds like Philly about to be up in flames soon. Just what's your thoughts on Harden's stance? What should the Sixers do? Also, if you're the one calling the shots, what would you do in Philly?
So a few things. Yes, this picture is hilarious because they look like best friends. Secondly, I'm glad I'm only a Philadelphia Eagles fan, not a Sixers fan. Thirdly, you talk about, before I get into James, you talked about Joel. You know, now the equivalent of like requesting a trade is like removing everything from your Twitter feed. Apparently, he removed Philadelphia from his, so who knows what that means. But again, to me, I think that's what he get. I don't really care, to be completely honest. Like, you've been doing basically what you wanted. Daryl Morey has been giving you everything that you wanted. He took you, he took you out of Brooklyn when you didn't want to be there. I mean, he did everything for you in Houston. Now that your market is just not popping, that's just what it is. Like, he can't make something be something that it's not. It's like it just doesn't make sense. So now your butt hurt. It is what it is. And honestly, if I'm Daryl Morey, I do the same thing. Like, I really could care less. We got a contract. I expect him to show up at training camp. He ain't at training camp. He ain't getting paid. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Eventually it has to be like that, because if not, James is going to continuously do this all the time. And to me, like, it would be one thing if this happened like once, where you like kind of force your way out of somewhere. This is like the third time. Like, literally, you just got the coach fired. Let's talk about that. You got Doc fired first. Now Nick Nurse, like, what the hell did I just decide to do? Like, why am I here now? Like, I don't want no parts of this nonsense either. And poor Tyrese Maxey just sitting over there like, God damn, I should be the one in the news anyway. Like, I should be the one that's upset about not getting, extensions now and everything, because they're trying to, wait out the market and everything like that. And here go old ass James Harden just constantly messing some things up. So I personally think that's what he gets. As we always talk about, and I love how Carter always says, it's not player empowerment, it's player entitlement. That is where we are again. And I hope Daryl Morey puts him in his place. I hope he be like, nah, bro, like, see you at training camp starting September. If not, I hope you get fined. And I don't know what you're going to do. Now, I personally don't know what the contract is, to be honest. I don't know how many years he got left or whatever. But if they shut down trade talks, and doesn't seem like he's a free agent, so expect to see him training camp bright and early.
Ray.
Yeah, man. I think we recently talked about somebody. I think we was talking about Dame Lillard. But yeah, we need them 9-year, $9 million deals back. Like, cause dude, all right, so you force your way out of Brooklyn. You flamed out in the playoffs. There's no trade market for you, and you opted in. Why do you think they would extend you? What have you shown that makes you think you're worth a max extension at this point? Opt in, prove yourself, and then talk. Bring something back that says, all right, this is what it is. You haven't done that. You've been an asshole for the past 3 teams you played on, one with the guy you're in the picture with. So you should be thanking him, to be perfectly honest. But this is where we are. And he's going to keep doing this because there's actually people co-signing this nonsense. Like, if I'm Daryl Morey, like, you under contract, like, nothing you say matters. Like, show up or don't get that direct deposit. It is what it is. I mean, the petty in me would release him just to prove a point. Like dog, we really don't need you. And like, what have you given us? I mean, and Embiid, he's just a sucker. Like, I don't pay him no mind at this point. It was Ben Simmons' fault. It was Brett Brown's fault. It was Doc Rivers' fault. That dude got a CDL and he be driving that bus, boy. So yeah, he cried and cried and cried and finally got his MVP and still went home. So you need to get in the lab. You don't need to even be paying attention to this. You need to be getting in shape. So I ain't even gonna say anymore about Embiid, but this dude, like I hope everybody that be like they talking about where he is among all-time shooting guards, like putting him in conversations with the guy we just saw go in the Hall of Fame, Dwayne Wade, like putting him and talking about he's the best offensive player ever. Like, dog, he's he's a whining fat baby. It's like I don't want to hear it. Like I don't want to hear it. Don't talk to me about James Harden no more, man. Like, what more does he have to do to prove to you he not who y'all say he is? And then come back with this crap. Like, the owner's gonna have them in the fields in the next CBA, and rightfully so. Like, Cardell hits it on the head. Player entitlement error. Like, what makes you think you can carry it like this? Like, I'm glad. I could never be a NBA owner. I could never be a coach because, yeah, man, like y'all got things twisted, like for real. And you want to compare eras, like these dudes would not have survived under the old regime. And another story Cardell tells routinely, Pat Riley will have your contract in a briefcase and tell you to go home. And then what you gonna do? And that's how you should carry it, man. Like, this thing goes both ways. The owners and front office personnel got to do their job and field a competitive team and make sound business decisions. You as a player have to be professional. You have to produce, and that's it. Like, that's how it works, and that's how it should operate. Like, you can't have everything you want and no responsibility or accountability. Life don't work that way, man. But some people think it does, and here we are. Like, we've seen franchises go to shambles because of this, including the last 2-3 now that this dude has been on. Look at the Rockets.
Just now.
Look at Brooklyn. And look what Philly about to become. Like, this dude, man. Yeah, so, hey, look. More power to him. Yeah, all you James Harden fans, I know they're just going to excuse the behavior anyway, so it ain't even no need trying to convince them. But yeah, it's about to get ugly around here.
Hey, two things, Ray, before we Wilson, you began. One, the old school players would have put hands on Harden. Like, and one story that popped in my mind was Gary Payton when he said he was a rookie. He told man, I ain't doing nothing. He said, what, young? What you say? He said, man, you better go get that newspaper and call. He said, man, I ain't doing shit. Man, I mean, what you gonna do about it? And he choked him out in front of the whole team. It's a whole lot of those stories from the old school, man. Like, that's why you ain't see a lot of this stuff going down. You ain't hear too much. You better be able to fight your ass on some Bud Crawford stuff, man, to do this and still walk out the locker room in one piece, man. It wasn't gonna go down. And then two, when you said you were released on Major Pain popped in my head when he was like, and what, since you on a vacation? That popped in my head like, nah, you gonna stay here and I'm gonna get your money. You ain't, that's because that's letting him off. And then he gonna say all the right things, man. I'm gonna come to the team and do the right thing. Nah, you gonna suffer, brother. You gonna suffer in your mess. You've been getting too many vacations. Nah, you gonna suffer. He's horrible. And I've been saying that about him, man. People gas him up off of numbers and stuff like that. It's just ridiculous. I'm gonna hold on till Wilson go on because I got some facts to shut all this down. Go ahead, Wilson.
I promise you, I will be quick. The two of them, very unserious. Just very unserious. And I'm old enough to remember when you fools try to call these dudes some reincarnation of Kobe and Shaq. I remember. I'll just be quiet, but I remember you fools jumped all the way out there saying that outlandish stuff. This is the best duo, da da da. Bro, they wasn't even 06 Wade and old Shaq. They weren't even that. It's just disgusting. And again, love the John Wick movies, reference them all the time. John and Winston stay talking. Consequences. Bro, it's about time you got to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
You've been skating with the things that you've done. Like, again, and this is deserving too. Everyone can see when Kyrie is on his stuff. My man been right alongside him, just in a different sidecar. It's just different. They go about it different ways. But what y'all just say? This is the third team that he's trying to do this on. At some point, it's you. It is you, mind you, bro. You trying to put his power move. You played 58 games last year, right? Again, one of the best shooting guards of all time. Some of y'all just spend too much time and just like saying things. I get it. Twitter moved to X. You get paid for engagement. Y'all are wilding. 21 points, 10 assists, and 6.1 rebounds. 58 games. Right, he's making $35 million this year on an expiring contract. But they ain't moving you unless somebody wants you, and it's worth their time. Bro, sit in your mess. Just sit here. You said you wanted to be here. You bounced out of Brooklyn, yada yada yada. I've never played with a big like this. Blah blah. Clint Capella is somewhere laughing at all of this. And again, I think Octavia, you said it. It's always someone else's fault with these two. Now what? There's nobody left to blame. We're gonna blame Maxey, who y'all don't even really have the ball like that. Who you gonna blame? Tobias Harris? Nah, that's on y'all two.
Tobias like, it ain't me.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's on them two. Go ahead, Carter.
And you know who's the happiest person in this situation? Doc. You can't blame me. Can't blame me no more. I'm about to be broadcasting. Matter of fact, send me to their games. I want to sit front row. See how this shit just go to hell. I just want to see you be smiling, just talking about the game. Oh, yeah, it's on. But hold on, I'm going to give y'all some facts real quick. Let's go back to the 2022 playoffs. Game 6. I'm not even going to do the whole shit. Just game 6. Just pull up something. Against the Heat. Game 6. James Harden, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 turnovers, minus 29, 5 of 13 from the field. Second half of that game. 4 points, 1 rebound, no assists, 2 turnovers, 1 for 5. That's game 6, 2022 playoffs against the Miami Heat. Philly gets blown out 120-85. Horrible. Okay. The next game. My fault. That was game 5. Game 6 of that finals, but when the Heat wrapped things up and moved on. James Harden, 11 points, 4 and 9 from the field, 9 assists, 4 rebounds, 4 turnovers, minus 16. Go back again. Second half of that game. Harden, 0 points, 0 for 2 from the field, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, 3 turnovers. Horrible, right? That can't possibly happen again. That can't possibly happen again in this year's playoffs. No, I'm pulling up some facts. Game 6, I'm looking. Okay, game 6 of this playoffs against Boston this year. 13 points, 4 of 16 from the field, 5 turnovers, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, minus 10. Horrible. I'm just looking at it. Second half of this game. Again, 7 points, 1 for 6 from the field, 1 for 6. Third greatest shooting guard of all time is what some say. Okay. Fine. Boston get that. You know what? Game 7. Surely he's not going to tank and look worse in this game. Of course he is. 9 points, 3 of 11 from the field, 5 turnovers, minus 30. I don't even know how you get minus 30. Like, how do you even try? Like, how do you put forth effort and like you still can't get that? That's hard as hell to get. 7 assists, 6 rebounds. You know, let's see how he finished. Second half, 3 points, 1 for 3. He only took 3 shots, 1 for 3, 3 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound, 1 steal, 2 turnovers. Why would anybody want to pay for that? You already don't give a damn about defense. So that's been done the last few years. When you go to Houston early, whatever the hell it was, 2016, 20, whatever he went the first week to Houston, he hasn't played defense since Tony. I blame Tony Skene. It's his fault. Since he got him, he did him dirty in the Olympics. It's his fault. I blame him. Like, he made it like, I'm not doing that no more. You almost ended my career on that. That's his fault. Okay. He don't play defense. Now he's getting older. He's lost a step. He don't even give you the offense he gave you in Houston. And then in big games, which has happened in the playoffs since you got to Houston. This ain't new. I'm not even going back to you. I just went back the last couple of years in Philly. you don't show up when it matters most in the playoffs, dog. Why in the hell what's wrong with you? So you really think people this dumb, but they're going to give you, what, Jaylen Brown money and AD money? And be on the books for that paying you, what, 30, 40, 50, $60 million for this? Like, his circle gotta be the worst type of circle in history, because somebody not keeping their buck with him, man. And right now he's about to lose a lot of money over ego. You like even Daryl Morey. Look, Daryl Morey is your biggest cheerleader. When it's at the point that man has like, yeah, nah, I probably can't make this move, dog. Like, bro, you about to make me just be out the league. Like, seriously. Maybe you should start looking in the mirror, but I don't expect him to. He's gonna be 35 years old. He thinks he's still that dude. You're not. And if you are, it still makes you look bad, because that means you've been holding back BSing in an attempt. It looked like the sabotage things to get Doc out of there or whatever and take control of the team. But Daryl Morey's tired of it, because he don't have that control. It ain't Houston no more. And you're not that dude, and you're older. You don't show up in big games. You don't play defense. Philly fans don't like you. You don't make the players around you better. What are we doing here? There's a reason why the rest of the league didn't want you. The league is tired of it. That's what I'm saying. Like, y'all gonna piss the rest of the league off. The CBA just got done because there's money involved in that. Fine, they trying to recoup. They don't want to go back down that road again. I get it, but that don't mean they got to mess with y'all no more. Even Dame Lillard, who's been a long time good guy, he pulled this thing and it's hurt him. You see, he's still in Portland, right? So they're not trying to deal with this diva stuff because they know what happens. That Brooklyn stuff was the nail in the coffin. You could say Ben Simmons had a part in it, but that Brooklyn joint with James, where he did what he did, Kyrie, even KD, that was the nail in the coffin. The rest of the league said, like, okay, we ain't dealing with y'all dudes no more, man. Like, nah, if you ain't proven, like really proven, some Steph Curry, loyal, you won before, dominant, Giannis, you joking. If you ain't on that level and have that type of history, we not messing with you. So, nah, if I'm Daryl Morey, I'll shrug too. You can say whatever you want in the media. Your ass gonna be here to play. And you can take it, you can look bad in games all you want. I'm gonna let the Philly fans get on you, making life miserable for you. Because I'm like, hey man, he getting paid to play. I don't care if you don't want to be here. You don't get everything you want. Hey, it's a lot of people working jobs they hate, right? They still got to go in there and work. Because if you want something better, apply. You see what I'm saying? But that don't mean they're gonna hire you either. So you got to do what you got to do. Welcome to the real world. He be all right, man, but he's horrible. But the people that rock with him are the people that move like him. That's the only thing. That's the only type of fans he got, or basketball players that wish they could do what he do, but they can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just horrible. I'm looking at Embiid, bro. I'm like, homie, you got some things you need to answer for too. But with your injury history, you dealing with this, it ain't looking good. And Octavia made a good point. Out of all this, Tyrese Maxey ain't get extended yet. And that's the other thing about Daryl Morey. He has a history of young players, especially since he came to Philly. When it's time for the re-up, Thibault, all those guys, when they sign a re-up, they don't get paid. See what I'm saying? So they move on, do their thing. It's just crazy. So, like you said, man, I can't take neither one of them serious. They deserve each other. All I know is they better get this. They better get some semblance of a team going into the season, because Philly fans don't play, and it can get bad for all of them. And then the owner gonna have to step in and make some moves. Like, yeah, and it looking like it's headed for a rebuild. And this is what happened when you let the inmates run the asylum. So that's on y'all, Philly. Have a good time. Moving on. Bengals star wide receiver Jamar Chase was interviewed by Sports Illustrated on Tuesday morning to discuss a wide range of topics, including Chase's list of the best wide receivers to ever play the game. Towards the end of the interview, Chase revealed his Mount Rushmore wide receivers, and the list obviously didn't disappoint. He said, all right, I'm going to do Calvin Johnson. I got to get Antonio Brown in there. I'll probably throw Cooper Kupp in there. I'll throw Kupp in there. Got to throw Kupp in there with the Triple Crown and Jerry Rice, of course. When Sports Illustrated Robin Lundberg asked why Randy Moss and Terrell Owens didn't make the list, Chase had a good response. I'm not knocking him. Chase said, I'd add Ocho in there too if I could. Chase has quickly become one of the top receivers in the NFL over his first 2 years in the league. In 29 games, Chase has caught 168 passes for 2,501 yards, 22 touchdowns, while averaging 14.9 yards per reception. Ray, what are your thoughts on Mr. Chase's Mount Rushmore wide receivers?
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, all these lists are subjective for one, but I mean, as long as you got Jerry Rice up top, I don't really care. But it, I don't really have no thoughts for real, man. Like these, it's always gonna be some type of controversy or something left out. It seemed like he had a pretty good grip on, on the position, but yeah, nothing he said came to me, and I was just like, "Though you need to put whatever you smoking down or something like that." So I let him rock.
Wilson.
Are the Bengals going to focus on playing football anytime soon, bro? I don't want to hear anybody in Cincinnati say anything anymore. How about y'all finally figure out how to beat Patrick Mahomes? Shut up, focus, study. All y'all be quiet. Like Joey B this, wide receiver, go do something. I'm just as cool that he got his list. That's wonderful. Can we get a top 5 times that y'all beat the Chiefs? Oh, there's not one. Cool. Can we focus on the task at hand, please?
That applies to the whole NFL, brother.
Nah, for sure. But they've been chirping. Like, it's cool. Like, the Chiefs are doing their thing, but don't chirp. Like, you're over there. You have more of an opportunity than anybody in NFC. NFC doesn't see them until they get there. You see them all the way. And don't do anything about it. Like, focus on the task at hand. And like Ray said, the list is subjective, but I don't know, man. I'm just old, and I'm not trying to yell at the, old man yelling at the cloud or get off my lawn type stuff. But these lists are just all horrible.
Xavier.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really love Cooper Kupp on the list. I know the whole Triple Crown thing, but like I'm more of a whole like the longevity of people's career. And to me, Cooper had a great season. I don't know where he's been since then. I mean, I know he's been injured, so that's part of the issue. I would like to see him replicated more than one season before I put him on the Mount Rushmore. That's just me. Randy Moss did it in multiple eras, like when he was young and when you can kind of consider him old in football years. So I think that's probably my biggest issue. It's like, I think Randy should be on the list. I don't even consider Antonio Brown a wide receiver or an NFL player anymore, so I just don't even think about him. But I understand it. He was very, very good when he was sane. He is no longer sane. So I get that. Calvin Johnson, I'm cool with. Megatron, he did his thing. And of course, Jerry Rice. I don't know. At first, I was going to chalk it up to youth because I had to look up how old he is. I was like, all right, he's 23. Maybe he didn't really pay attention. But he's a wide receiver. YouTube is available for everybody. So I can't use that as an excuse. While you all said it, every list is subjective. He has his own reasons for it, so that's cool. It doesn't bother me to the point where I want to like rip my hair out or anything, but I would feel a little bit better if Cooper was replaced with Randy, because Randy was, goddamn, he has a whole move named after him, but I don't know. I don't know if you've got Cup before. Like I've never heard of that. So yeah, but again, it is what it is. But also, like Wilson said, like I do wish they would just kind of play football. Now, granted, I know he's in an interview, he gets asked these questions, but maybe we should dial it back on the interviews. I don't know. Figure out if Joe Burrow's going to have a working calf muscle to play this year, because I don't even know who's behind him. So y'all better hope his calf work.
Yeah, for me, obviously, man, Cooper had an amazing year, but he ain't did it long enough to even be on any list right now. It's just facts. Like, especially in the all-time list. Megatron, yeah, you can. Obviously you can think about, Chris Carter, the Art Monks, guys like that as well. But Man, you should always start with Jerry Rice, T.O., Randy, however, Jerry Rice up top first. That your list got always start with that. And yeah, it's the youngest. That's them now. That's why when people like, man, it's still, you got these, I call them older simps trying to be good, for whatever agenda they want to push with the youngest, and they saying, man, look, man, the youngest things evolve, and the youngest they're the leaders, and they should be the one leading the way. I'm like, no, the hell they not. No, they don't research enough. They don't study enough. And yes, they have more resources than ever to learn about certain guys. They don't do that. They don't go back and study, and that's ridiculous, man. I can't tell you how many youngins, literally in college right now hit me up and was like, man, how good was D Wade when he was Flash? And then I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? They remember D Wade like with the LeBron and Bosh and on. I'm like, how y'all in college and y'all not students of the game? It blows my mind. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and it's just ridiculous. So I know the youngest don't study, but they always got an opinion, which is why I always say I get why my parents were like, y'all should be seen and not heard. You don't know enough. And that really applies to this generation, man. And what's sad is you should study being the talent that you are a wide receiver, because you can learn a lot and possibly, I don't know, be even better. And then with you being even better, you could do the very thing Wilson is critical of you all. Possibly make big plays to beat the Chiefs and get to the Super Bowl and possibly win the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? It's just little things, because T.O. on one leg was balling in the Super Bowl. Randy got there. Look, man, got there a couple times. No, they lost a fight, but the New England Patriots, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, they ball, man. You haven't even got there. You haven't put together a list. You know what I'm saying? So I know Cooper Kupp got the ring and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's fine. But you still got to do it over a long period of time. Because what if Cooper Kupp flame out? He have another good this year, and then we don't hear about him no more. Is he still on that list? And Antonio Brown, Lord, come on, dog. Come on, dog. Don't do it. Come on, man. Come on, dog. Just man. Oh, moving on, man. But yeah, man, he just showed his use, man. It could be subjective, man, but it gotta be an educated thing, man, because you just make yourself look silly at the end of the day. But these youngsters are different. They're gonna be who they're gonna be. Got all the opinions in the world and actually know nothing, as you can see. So, it's hilarious. Staying on the NFL side of things, 49ers. Wilson gonna love this one. We're in the presser they asked Kyle Shanahan who will be the starter, and they pretty much said unless Brock melts, it's his job. He would literally have to melt in practice to lose the job. And Brock's too good of a player to melt in practice, and so are the other guys. But he said that as long as he's healthy, he will be the week 1 starter. Wilson, just what are your take on that? Obviously, Trey Lance was seen as the Golden Boy player, the guy of the future or whatnot, but seems like Kyle's moving in another direction, man. So what are your take on the direction of the team overall, and then, his comments?
Just for some people, I know this is really hard. 1 + 1 = 2. Dude got hurt. Brock came in. He played well. You can't sit Brock just because. Like, Brock deserves to be the guy to start the year. Is the book officially written on Trey? No. And we'll see what happens going forward. But I think Kyle said this. Like, this is the weird thing. They've been very transparent. Sometimes people just don't like to listen to people when they say the same things over and over. We somehow, not we, but somehow turned this into this big exciting thing where they said Brock was. I think anybody with common sense knew Brock was going to be QB1 to start this year, based off how he finished last year. The dude didn't lose a game that he didn't lose a game that he started. He got knocked out of the Eagles game. I think that's what makes sports, right? Like, somebody gets hurt, you step up. You deserve to lose. You shouldn't lose your job to injury. Obviously, sometimes things happen. Brock stepped up. He earned the chance since last year, since getting knocked out in the link, to be the guy to start this season. Now, as far as who's behind him, that's a different discussion and what have you. But I thought that was common sense going into this year. The thing was with Trey, obviously you would have loved for him to get more opportunities. Dude got injured back-to-back years. Going to this year, Brock earned it. He possibly has a chance to be QB2. And I think I don't want to get this stat wrong, but like the last few years in this modern NFL, it's really rare that the same quarterback finishes every year. Finishes the year for their team, for their respective teams. Like, it's not to say he won't get another chance, but I mean, I don't know. Yes. But there's been a whole firestorm of news today about they've repeatedly said this. Like, this is like the fifth time Kyle's has said this. Like, I thought we would believe it after the third time, but whatever.
Octavian.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't see why it's still a story. I think the only reason it's still a story is just because of everything they gave up to get Trey the year before. So everybody's just like, are they really going to give up all that they gave up to get Trey before and really make him be behind, quote unquote, Mr. Irrelevant? So I think it's more of a storyline that people are pushing outside of just using their eyes when they see like football players playing football. That's the only thing I can think of. And then also not using their ears, like Wilson said, and listening to what Kyle has said multiple times, that Brock's the guy. I just think people are skeptical. I'm a skeptic at times, so I get it. I think people are skeptical. Are they like, can Brock really repeat what he did last year? Trey was so, highly touted. Why wouldn't you give it back to him? Like, I just think people are just looking for something to talk about instead of, again, like I said, just using their eyes and seeing like literally what's happening on the football field. It just, to me, it makes perfect sense. Excuse me. And I mean, it shows to me also that Trey still needs a lot of work. They talk about a lot of times where, if you think about it, he hasn't had a lot of game reps in the last 2 to 3 years. I think they said when he was in college was COVID year, they only played like one game, and then he only played a few games last year before he got hurt. So to me, it still makes sense that he got a lot that he needs to work on as well. And Brock is, in my opinion, is probably a little bit more well versed in the offense anyway at this point. So to me, it just all makes sense. Unless something crazy happens where Trey just automatically has like a light bulb switch in his head where he's playing out of his mind and it's just like that much better than Brock. I don't see it, but that's the only thing I can think of is people just still being skeptical. But at this point, I don't know why either, because they've said it, it's happening at this point.
Right.
Yeah, man. Like, sports is a results based business. Like, Brock got the results, so I don't. This is a non-story, man. Like, I don't understand what the conversation is about. It sucks for Trey, but hopefully he'll get an opportunity. But he shouldn't get it just because. I mean, Brock played well to finish out the year last season, and he's earned the right to be in the position he's in. So it is what it is. I know people aren't used to having to earn things nowadays, but that's how the world works. Like, you put in the work, you get the opportunity. That's just what it is, man. Like, so yeah, the time for Trey to be given the opportunity was his rookie year. Since then, I mean, he's been injured, like Wilson said, and then this guy came in and played well. So yeah, good luck to both of them, but this shouldn't be a conversation.
Man, you already know how I feel about the Shanahan's. I ride with them. I know who he comes from. So that's what it is. People don't understand that this has gone on throughout the history of sports, especially in the NFL. If Drew Bledsoe don't get hurt, you don't get Tom Brady. Simple as that. Terrell Davis had his career unfortunately cut short. You get Orlandis Gary, you get a whole host, Mike Anderson, you get a whole host of running backs. They all getting 1,000 yards at will. You feel what I'm saying? And they didn't last as long as Terrell Davis, but they produced and stuff like that. It's just the name of the game. That's why they always say the best trait is availability. You got to be there to even play. Like, you see what I'm saying? And then when you get your opportunity, you better seize it, especially in the NFL. Look, out of all the pro sports, the NFL is definitely the one where you better ball, dog. Or I promise you they got a replacement coming. Either free agency or somebody back on the depth chart, or they're gonna be like, hey, send the scouts. We need somebody new. It's just a cold-blooded business. It is what it is, man. That's why I understand when you got the first question we talk about when you got guys being entitled, because I'm like, we ain't entitled to nothing. It's a bottom line business. You either getting it done or you're not. And if you ain't getting it done, I gotta get somebody that can. It's as simple as that. So who knows what may happen? Like, all right, he's undefeated right now. Well, look, I don't expect him to be 16 though, obviously. If he does, hell of a story. I'm not sure anything possible. I mean, we saw Brady and Randy Moss. They did it. They almost pulled it off. Went undefeated all the way through. It'd be a hell of a story. We don't know how his injury will hold up once he gets hit. You don't know. That might be Trey. Here's your chance again to show what you can do. Hopefully you're ready. But it just goes to show you, man, you got to be ready. You see what I'm saying? Because, again, especially in the NFL, if you're not ready, you lose games, people lose jobs. You can't take care of families. I can't put all that on the line for all these other people to be, I guess, fair to Trey and give him a fair chance. Bro, you got to hit the ground running. You know what I'm saying? Just like over there with the Colts, my man, rookie, won a starting job. He hitting the ground running so far. You just got to take it into the regular season, man. And that's how you got to do it, man. So, hey, best man won. We see how everything unfolds and how it holds up, man. But I'm not mad at the decision at all, man. Last question that we're going to get out of here. Back on the NBA side, this one had me laughing. Doing a recent appearance on Paul George's podcast, ESPN analyst Stephen A. Smith recalled a fiery exchange that he had with Rich Paul over Los Angeles Lakers superstar LeBron James' place in NBA history. Stephen A. Smith revealed that Paul took umbrage to the fact that he had James as the second greatest player in NBA history. Quote, I got him as the second best player in the history of basketball since James. I got him ahead of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I got him behind no one but Michael Jordan. I said to Rich, you act like that's an insult. This dude, Rich, said it is an insult. I said, get the out of my face. Obviously, the debate surrounding James and Michael Jordan is, one that has been going on for years. That's not what this is about. But obviously, Smith and Paul are on two opposite ends of the debate, man. So, Octavia, man, just to close it out, man. What do you think about his Stephen A's response to Rich Paul to his face about not, about taking it as an insult that LeBron, in his eyes, is the second best player of all time?
It's hilarious because if you've ever even like for a little bit listened to Stephen A, like he will say that to the ends of the earth. Like, I don't care. He's not better than Michael. It's just not happening. So I appreciated the fact that he stood on him right in his face and told him, get that out of my face. But like, no. Like, no. And yeah, I mean, I agree. 100%. It'll never be that for me. And that's how Stephen A. Smith is saying. He's like, I don't care if you his best friend, which it seems like you are. So no, but we know that this will always be the debate for whatever reason. But yeah, I'm 100% on Stephen A. Smith's side.
Ray, your thoughts?
Man, first, I got to say, every time I hear Stephen A. speak in a non-official ESPN platform, I like him, man.
Yeah, this is the Stephen A. on Quite Frankly, they used to cover Allen Iverson. This is the dude that was cool. This is who I rock with. Yeah.
Yeah, man. But yeah, like he's 100% correct, man. Like he said, he's the second best to ever touch a basketball. How can that be translated as an insult? And this dude's gonna say it is. I would have had the same response. Get the F out of my face. Like what are you talking about, man? And it actually is an insult. It's an insult to the other dudes that should be in that spot or could be argued to be in that spot. So be happy he even putting them there.
Yeah.
And, like so, like dude, like I mean, Rich Paul, man, props to him. He's built his business, all that, but dog, you kind of looking like a flunky right now.
Kind of.
Like, why are you pressing up on this man about where he ranks LeBron? Like, I think he's more credible in that than you will ever be. So just move on with your life. It's probably written in your contract that you have to say LeBron's the greatest player ever. Like, oh, you're compromised, buddy. Like, I don't want to hear your thoughts on the subject. Like, do you even know about basketball? Like, so whatever, man. But yeah, that was hilarious, man. Like that, Stephen A. was talking like a dude that grew up in New York. Like it was hilarious. But yeah, he's right, man. And I wish he could take this type of commentary to TV, but we all know what that's about. But yeah, I missed him, quite frankly, days, man. And this was definitely a glimpse of that. So yeah, and I'm glad he be talking to them like that in their face, because these dudes, man, they be out of line. Like
What?
Like dog, y'all ain't nothing but flunkies in PR firms, man. Like go find some other business. Shit. Like you got a whole empire to run. Like it's ridiculous, man.
Oh man. Before you go, Wilson, my thing is this. Let's just say everybody say he is the greatest player. LeBron is the greatest player of the game. What does that change? It's going to stop world hunger? Racism going to go away? I mean, what is going to change? Everybody going to go do what they do, dog. So what's with this obsession, man? Like, what are they really trying? Like, it's crazy, man. Go ahead, Wilson.
The first thing it does is confirm that, look, you've been chasing that ghost real bad. It's gone. Let it go. Accept it. One. Two, that nasty clip after, what was it, 2016? When y'all try to bend reality like it was Earth 616 or 838 to be like the 73 win Warriors were the greatest team of all time before adding Kevin Durant, in which you were like, I don't want to talk about it in post-game pressers. You know that you were very snippy. Post 2016, sir. Whole different energy. I don't want to talk. You know the difference. You guys be better. This was you after beating the greatest team ever. So if it was the greatest team ever, why y'all ain't be the KD version? Let it go. The second greatest player of all time is wonderful, dog. What's wrong with you? Also, did you pull up on his homie D Wade to say that? Because D Wade thinks the same way Stephen A. Smith says. You know, the guy that played with him on the court, in the trenches with him, won 2 championships with him.
Ray Allen did too.
I'm sorry, Ray Allen did. Like, there's people who shared the court with. I get you've been around him. Y'all grew up, in war with this dude, in battle. Bro, they freely saying it like, Ray's like, yeah, I played with both of them. So, expert, let it go. Just let it go, bro. The fact that your man is in the conversation for one of the greatest players of all time, arguably the greatest at his position of all time, shut up and be happy. And if you don't like it, get Doctor Strange to reverse the stuff, go back, beat the Mavs. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Don't get swept by Timmy and them. Like, there's a whole, like, it could have worked differently. However,
tap out against Boston.
Like, there's so many different things that we
can act like that didn't happen. Don't lose to Dwight Howard. They act like that didn't happen.
Losing to Dwight Howard, Turkoglu, Rashard Lewis, like, things happen. Don't get mad because people are aware that those things happen. I know y'all tried to hit the blip on everybody and be like, it didn't happen. Bro, we can't pick and choose. I remember J.J. Barea and Jason Terry. It's not my fault I remember those things. I remember Kawhi Leonard and you at the foul line like, damn, he coming back in again. I remember those things. I remember Kevin getting the ball and you like, please, anybody. You was sacrificing your teammates to die on the altar because you ain't want that. But when it was HB, everybody got energy. And that's not a shot at HB, just being honest. Like, when people was putting Clyde up there, Jordan buried that dude so quick, people was like, I'm sorry, we got to find a new angle. You had an opportunity to do those things, sir. How can you be mad? And again, if you was that great, and the rest of the Warriors were, everything cancels out. If you win your matchup, y'all win the finals, right? What are we doing with? You had those opportunities. Those are true points of time. That you had the ability to change all of those things, sir. Because of your longevity, because of the way you took care of your body. All those things that work in your favor. It's okay. It's hard chasing ghosts. It's all right. And the fact that you fell short and you're in the space that you're in, be proud. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But you went there and lost, bruh. It's a wrap. Like after the first loss, it doesn't count. Like we're done. It's not. There's nothing wrong with that. That just means you got to move to a different tier, and that's fine. You're just not in the same part as that. So like we can get to you, and then there's another wing. There's nothing wrong. At least you might be the last stop to that, and that's cool. But Rich, you gotta chill. And shout out to Stephen A. Smith for telling them, because that's crazy.
Yeah, their whole crew need that, man. They need to be told that a lot. That's the thing I hate the most about their camp is the narrative controlling. It's just y'all acting like we ain't got guys and we ain't see what happened. You see what I'm saying? It's really it's insulting to everyone's intelligence, man. A lot of times, man, and they've been harping on this for like over a decade, and it's just like let it go, bro. It's just too many L's on that resume that the other guy don't have, that Kareem don't have, that Bill Russell don't have. That's why I can't even put him above that. You could say he better offensively and all that, but resumes are resumes for a reason. You know what I'm saying? That's all you can go by off of, man. I ain't even bring up the Olympic, the bronze, fine. Larry Brown ain't play you, but what about the World Championships when y'all lost in that? Y'all don't want to bring that up either. Before 08, when Kobe had to come save the day, see, we was there for all that. You see what I'm saying? So, you can't ignore all those blunders on your resume that this other dude you feel your camp feels better. He just don't have. You know what I'm saying? So the sooner they let this go, the better, man. Because like I said, what does it change if you do have that? And it's not some older dudes and stuff. It's people that seen both of y'all play that are not tripping off, I guess, your run right now, who understands you had an easier road, more talent. You got you a lot of people feel you're cheating by having your boy be your agent and stuff like that with and represent all the other top players that somehow end up on teams with you. It's a lot of advantages that you have, and you still fell short. Dog. That the other guy, he couldn't even get Jerry Krause to make moves. And Jerry Krause came out and said, "Nah, he ain't never come to me talking about who to draft or pick up this player or not." He probably felt like he was so damn good, he didn't need to do that. Mike, like, man, it's too many stories. They asked him about Sam Bowie, so he sent in the press room. They talking to Sam Bowie. And they like, man, we really want you to come here. Scottie Pippen like, yeah, man, we really need you. They get the mic. Mike like, man, Sam, you coming tonight, dog. We going to win with or without you. And got up and left out. Of course, Sam ain't come. And they won without him. That right there is the difference between him and all these other dudes. He's the ultimate dog. And that's what people don't understand, man. Like, we seen it. We seen that man come through a situation where we was like, And I'm tired of just to keep going through this, man. You know what I'm saying? Even Jabbar, the way they dismissed him, I'm like, LeBron put together the greatest season. I'm like, bro, Jabbar was winning rings and finals MVP at the same age. Y'all forget that? You see what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing here? It's just ridiculous how so many people are just to kiss their ass to keep access to them instead of just telling the truth, man. And that's all it is. Just speak the truth. And then you cool with it, man. But look, Rich, you're biased. You're not as credible because you're biased. You shouldn't ever say this, man. You can't be biased. Like you gotta have people that are unbiased and just speak the truth. And if you speak in facts and stuff like that, we can roll with it. But the fact remains, man, what that man did, it will never be duplicated. He did more in less time against better competition. End of the story. Let it go. It's on you, Wilson.
Yeah, they just gotta accept it, man. Look, y'all can't just rewrite history. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have a full gauntlet, not just the time stone. Let it go. Gotta let it go. I promise it's the last MCU reference for this week. Appreciate y'all tuning in. As always, get over to FocusTV.com. Tune into the Focus TV Wednesdays about 9 a.m. on our Roku channel. If you have a Roku television or device, all you got to do is add the channel by typing the Focus TV into the search box, double tapping OK on a remote, and you have done so. We will see you guys very soon. As far as Mystics Outlook goes, again, homestand gonna be started by the next time. We'll see you guys. Like, matter of fact, next time we're recording, they have a game, so gonna be busy for a little bit. Look forward to checking in with you guys next week with Octavia with the what happens in the NFC East in week 2 of the preseason, amongst all the people who won't be on the roster in 2 weeks, because y'all, I know football's back. Y'all got to take a deep breath. But it's been a Focus TV. See y'all soon.